Hey everyone, Vito from MoreBeer. We're in beautiful downtown Martinez at Cielo Brewing. Close friend of mine, Luis, and his wife Cielomar own this place. They're making amazing beer, so we're gonna go in and talk to them about all the beer, the vibes they've created here, and also we're gonna talk about Kettle Sours. So if you're interested in Kettle Sours, check this episode out. It's one for you. All right, Luis, Cielomar, thanks for having me. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedules. I love what you guys are doing, so I just want to kind of, share our platform, share what you guys are doing, go over it, and then also get deep into some of the amazing styles that you guys are making, and maybe share some of your tips on how to make those with the homebrewers out there. But let's start with you guys and the vibe here. So, I always refer to you guys like the husband and wife power couple. You're both working here at the business, doing. So tell me a little bit about your backgrounds and your roles in the business, what you came from previously and what you're doing now here in the business, a little bit of everything. But let's start with you, ladies first.
Sure. My background is in art and design. I used to be an art director for a greeting card company for about 12 years or so. Coming into the business, my focus has been in marketing, design for like the concepts of the labels, doing all the event preparation, concepting, bringing different bands, doing different collaborations with nonprofits. So I'm originally born and raised in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
I was there till I graduated high school, came to the US for college, studied graphic design. And I just loved, just the diversity.
Of the Bay Area? Is that how you came to the Bay Area?
Actually, I went to school in Sarasota, Florida.
Florida, okay.
Then I moved to Cleveland, Ohio, which is where we actually met.
Oh my God, I haven't even heard this story, so I'm glad I asked this question.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know you guys met in Cleveland.
Yeah, I was there, my first job out of college. We met one night, danced all night, and that was it. We've been together since then.
I love the dancing because when I think of you guys, I think of dancing, right? So that's cool.
Yeah, last night we were dancing. Well, this weekend for the
Saturday.
For the reggae festival, we were dancing. It's like, this is how everything started, dancing.
Man, in Cleveland, Ohio. So you were working there, or?
Yes, I was working for a greeting card company there. First job out of college. We met, hang out there for like a year and a half, and we're like, okay, we're ready to go somewhere else. No more snow. Moved to the Bay Area, and
yeah, it's like
magic started.
What's a Puerto Rican and a Colombian doing in Cleveland, dude?
Yeah, right?
Yeah, no.
So yeah, I know we know each other through those homebrewing roots, and I know you're finance, but tell everybody your kind of story, where you're from, how you got to Cleveland, how you came to the Bay Area.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Cali, Colombia. And I started, so everything that I've done in my previous career was related to numbers and finance. So I have a bachelor's in economics, I have a master in finance. And then when I decided to move to the US, I came to do an MBA, so a master in business administration. So then I moved in 2006. I was doing like an internship for like a couple months, and then that's where we met in 2007.
We got married, and it was like, chop, chop.
We got married, it's like, okay, let's bounce. So we moved to California in end of 2010.
What made you guys, obviously it sounds like the sun, but what made you guys choose California?
I think personally, I was looking for something that still had that diversity that I was looking for when I moved from Puerto Rico to go to college, but I wanted mountains. I wanted to feel similar to home, but still have that diversity of culture.
That is the good thing about, especially the Bay Area. We got, 3 hours you're in mountains. You're right at the beach. You've got kind of everything, yeah. So and you pay for it, I guess, right?
Yeah.
45 minutes
more expensive.
45 minutes, like 1 hour and 45 minutes, you can go to Monterey.
Yeah.
Or you can go to Tahoe in 3 hours. But Cleveland is just flat, dude.
Yeah.
Like flat. There's nothing.
Well, I'm glad you guys came, and I think the city of Martinez is happy you came as well. So. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about, a lot of home brewers, you know, myself included, at some point dream of going pro, of opening a brewery, right? So I want to talk about like chasing the dream, what that looks like. I remember, you know, we were friends through that. I remember you got the keys to this place, building it out. Talk to me about like going from home brewing to commercial, just that step, and you know, like how, you know, building out, you know, the finance side. You definitely probably had that under wraps, but yeah, like just talk to me a little bit about like any advice you have for home brewers thinking about going pro, other than don't do it. I've heard that before, but like, you know, like yeah, what is some good advice for people?
2006, I got at a bar, Ohio, and asked for a beer. And asked for the beer tender to recommend me something. He gave me a 90-minute from Dogfish. This is 2006.
Yeah.
And I just came from Colombia drinking commercial beer.
Light lagers and stuff.
Light lagers, everything. Like, just imagine like Bud Light and Coors Light. That's what I used to drink in Colombia. So I look at this glass, I'm like, oh, you know, it's like has more like a deeper color, smell. I'm like, what the hell? I take a bite, I take a sip, I'm like, Jesus. I've been wasting 30 years of my life drinking crappy beer. After that, it's like, dude, you should make your own beer. You should brew your own beer. I'm like, no, it's too messy. I don't have the time. I don't want to do it. So then, for one of my birthdays, I got a gift certificate from MoreBeer.
Okay.
From one of his friends.
Yeah, from one. They got together and they just pulled a gift certificate. So I was able to, I think it was like $200. I bought the Simples. Homebrew kit.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's what I started on too. Yeah.
And Megan, you remember Megan?
I remember Megan. Yeah.
Dude, like I used to go there. Like Megan's like, "Hey, Luis, what are you brewing right now?" So we used to talk a lot about beers. She tried like all my beers, and then from there, like I was brewing like once a month, then like twice a month, then like once a week, 2 times a week, 3 times a week. So it gets to a point like
I remember that. Yeah.
It gets to a point like I'm brewing.
Who's gonna drink all this beer?
I know, so I got more beer that we can drink by ourselves. So we start inviting friends. So I start inviting like 8 of my closest friends every other Friday. So we'll go to our house every other Friday. We gotta kill these 2 kegs, bring food. I got food, and it's just like until like 1 or 2 in the morning. And Cielomar is like, on our bed, he's like, can you guys just
let me kill the Wi-Fi? Maybe
kill the Wi-Fi. Kill the Wi-Fi so we can play any music. He was like doing karaoke. So if somebody wants to go pro and open a brewery, you gotta do it. You know, if that's something that you want to do and it's part of your dream, you gotta do it. You gotta be ready to work 14 hours a day for the first year or 2. You want to make sure like everything is running smooth. Make sure if you're a home brewer, make sure to be part of a homebrew club, and train competition so you get notes on your beers, and just bug every single brewery that is around you.
Yeah, one thing I think you did that I learned from, because you went pro before I did, is go and spend time, like spend a week brewing with, you know, this person over there, doing that kind of like internship, right? And like learn that process, because production brewing is a lot different than home brewing, right? Yeah. I mean, same science.
Yeah, it's kind of the same. It's just different equipment.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like one of the key things is like you want to make sure you have people that you can rely on. You know, it's like I remember when we did our first batch. Our first batch was Coqueta, our blonde. Mm-hmm. So I was just brew the beer and I was ready to dump it, because that was my first beer that I ever done. I did like a couple water batches just to make sure like I knew where the flow was going. But then it's like, yeah, I'll do a blonde. If something happened,
it's not that expensive of a batch.
Yeah. There's not a lot of hops. There's no dry hopping. And I remember reaching out to a couple. I think I reached out to Matt. And Matt came over here and tasted like, yeah, dude, like just go trash and keg it, man. It tastes good. And it's like, okay, keep going.
Going forward.
Yeah, and I think right now we're like, we used to use a different system, but now we're using a new system. I think we're like on 1,500 batches.
Oh wow, okay. And you're almost at 5 years?
4 years. We did, May this year we have our anniversary coming up.
One of the other things I think you did very well right from the beginning was like generating a buzz, right? Like I remember you guys would have the parties at your house and have like all the beer on tap. So, you know, like you started to build a community before this place was even existed. And I think you did that really well. I think you did some beer fests before you even had the brewery too, right? Yeah, like set up a booth and, you know, had that, you know, kind of getting the buzz out there.
Yeah, so we were able to pour homebrew beer at events before. Well, I guess we'll still do it at Spring Brews, and we'll still do it on the Bay Area Craft Beer Fest.
Yeah, to your point, I feel like that's something that Luis is a very, how do you say that? Like,
social?
Friendly, happy?
Extremely social person.
I'm pretty selective. I'm pretty selective.
He'll talk to anyone. He'll invite anyone. Like when he was brewing, like I feel like something that was so awesome about the way you went about it is you would invite anyone that you would meet that week to your house to try the beer, get feedback, invite them again with their wives or whatever it was, meet someone at an airplane, invite them to your house, like not even kidding.
Yeah.
And I think that was so powerful because you got feedback from all kinds of people.
Yeah.
You started to build this amazing community that like got too big for our space, and we had to like actually find a space to be like an extension of our home, basically.
Yeah, so one of the things that we wanted to bring to the brewery is, so we consider a brewery is an extension of our house. Yeah. You know, it's like, mi casa es tu casa, you're welcome to my house, you're welcome to the brewery. And we want everyone to feel like you're in our house. So we want to make sure like everybody's welcome. But then at the same time, we want to bring all the culture that we have. So mixing from like Puerto Rican, Colombian, and anybody on our staff. Like a lot of our kitchen is from Mexico. We have a lot of the beer tenders. That's something that we always look. We're looking for a mixed culture or everything.
So not specific thing, but like mix a culture.
Diversity.
Celebrate diversity. So one of the things that we wanted to do is start bringing the music from our country. Like we do like salsa, we do Latin jazz, we do cumbia, we do vallenatos, and on that, every event that we try to do is highlight those specific things from our culture. And I think I'm 100% sure that people love that because it's just providing like a different view of what else is up there besides the music that you normally listen to.
I would add to that, we love, where we come from, and we want to share it with the community. A lot of people might be familiar with it or not, and if they're not, it's like a really nice surprise. We love curating a variety of genres. So we'll do the salsa and the cumbia merengue, but then we'll also do rock and ska and jazz. So we like to mix it up, make it, a unique experience. Yeah. Make it a unique experience on a weekly basis for our guests. And then we'll kind of match that sometimes even with like the food that we have on special, kind of always finding like new ways to surprise and delight our guests. And I don't know, I love it. To me, it's like being here on the weekends, like I'm working sometimes, most of the time, but I'm enjoying the music, seeing people enjoying with their families, friends.
All right, cool. That's amazing. The food's great, but the beer is from heaven, right? That's what Del Cielo means. So let's. You got some beers out here for me. Let's go through some of them.
So we probably want to start where the name came from.
Yeah.
So we wanted to have a name in Spanish that represents who we are, and then I have the idea taking part of Cielomar's name. So Cielomar is together, but then if you remove the MAR at the end of her name and then you put DEL in front with a space, it means Del Cielo, which is from heaven. So there's nothing religious about it. It's just when we wanted to use our best ingredients, we wanted to outsource or get fruit from our country. And it's basically, when you're having that last piece of brownie with ice cream at a restaurant and somebody asks you, hey, how is that? It's like, dude, it takes like, hey, can I have a piece? Like, no,
It was mine.
it's mine. This is it. This is the explanation of where the Cielo comes from. We want everybody to taste the beer and say like, huh, like I never tried anything like this. And we get that with a lot of our beers, but everything is about like balance the beer. We want everybody to feel that you can just come here and have a beer.
A style for
A
everyone.
style for everyone.
Yeah.
Some of the other cool things, you do stuff for the community, right? The local community.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that project. I know you're part of the running community, the biking community. Health is important, right? So I love to see that.
Yeah, so one of the things that I started doing before we open our business is getting to know our community, getting involved with the business, with the local business. We have a bike shop in downtown Martinez that is Pegasus. They do a bike ride every Tuesday and Thursdays, and it's pretty much like Bike the Bridges. It's 25 miles, but there's beer
Okay.
in
I could do
between.
25 miles if you give me a beer.
There's
Yeah.
beer in between. So everything is about like, having that connection with the community and be able to support different things that we love about it. If it's bikes and kids, if it's we have a beer for Cali that is called Rat Rep, and then every time that we do that beer, we donate 20% of the proceeds to
Cali, I know who Cali is, but let everybody know
Cali.
who Cali is.
Cali's our a 3-year-old
Pitbull
crazy
baby.
crazy pitbull. She's normally around loose when we're close, but when
So that beer is for
for the shelters.
Shelter, okay.
So we rescue Cali, and
she's a rescue. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
she's
Okay.
a rescue, and everything that we try to do with that beer is try to change the mentality that people have with pit bulls or big breed that people believe that they're dangerous, but it's not about that. It's about how you train your dog too.
I know, I used to have boxers. I got a Boston now, Boston, little time. But the boxers, I remember people would be scared of it, and I'm like, dude, she's just gonna lick your face. That's all she wants to do.
Yeah, I love the beer that you did. What was the name of the beer?
Me and my
Something
dog,
like-
or
yeah,
a boy and his dog.
A boy and his dog.
A boy and his dog. Thank you for remembering
Yeah, yeah.
that. Yeah, cheers
was
to that,
good.
man.
That
Cheers
was
to
a
our,
pale-
cheers
that
to
was
our
a pale,
dogs.
right?
Cheers to our dogs. Yeah.
was a pale?
It was an IPA.
IPA?
Yeah, like super West Coast. It was 6.4, so it's like kind of on that border. All right, so another beer I want to point out, and I think it's your best seller. But when I saw this name, I was like, Orale? But then growing up in San Francisco near the Mission District, I knew Orale a lot. But then it wasn't until you're like, no, that's Orale. But when I see it in that, I'm like, Orale? Yeah, so tell me about that beer. Yeah.
So the way to pronounce it is Orale.
Orale, pato.
Orale. So this is probably one of the first beers we can. Actually, the first labels that we did was Coqueta, Orale, Martinez, and Orange Juice Delicious. And those beers being our
Continue to be your core
core
beer.
beer,
yeah.
our core beers. We probably go through like 45 to 60 barrels. I would say like 30 barrels every week or every couple of weeks of this. But the whole reason we did this is we wanted to have something that represents more the Hispanic culture.
Got the luchador on there. Yeah,
And it's like
Live.
yeah.
And it's like perfect because it's obviously it's our top sell beer in volume. And then one of the things that I wanted to do with this is just something closer to like a Mexican lager. You're thinking about like Modelo Especial or something like that. So we brew that beer and people just love it. We have a lot of accounts that's all they take every week. And it's nice to see when you're taking Modelo or Tecate or Dos Equis staff handle, just people
Nice.
willing to
Overtaking it
replace.
with craft beer.
Yeah,
Nice.
taking with that something like a little bit more body, a little bit more flavor. And then we did something different about this, which is Morena Mia, which is It's an international dark lager or a Vienna lager, which is similar to a Negra Modelo.
That's right. That's the Viking light Munich or dark Munich you're using in that one? I remember talking about because I love that beer.
We use pale malt from Viking. We use Carafa 1, obviously like flake corn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great beer, that dark lager.
And another spin-off is the Cerveza Rica, which is the one that you were looking at, the fermenter earlier.
With
That is still that Mexican lager
agave,
style.
right?
Agave and lime, yeah.
Great segue of like the Viking malt. I know that's you use that in a lot of your beers. I believe the Guava Dreams as well.
Mm-hmm.
So MoreBeer and MoreBeer Pro. For those who don't know, MoreBeer has a Pro division, which we sell Pro products. Tell me a little bit about how MoreBeer helped your journey and how it's helping your Pro journey as well.
So that's something that I always been involved with you guys, because like if you think about it, I came to those in 2007, and for the first time I brought my beers to the beer table, and I remember asking like, hey, so how do I know if my beer is good or not? It was a session IPA, so we just had a new member that was asking him how good is your beer, and he's like, well, he got first place on the beer of the month, so I guess your beer is pretty good. Yeah. So yeah, that was the first batch that I ever done, and I brought to you guys. But then the connection between those MoreBeer is just like every time that you go to a store as a home brewer, like, hey, I'm trying to brew this, and having people that knows the specific details about the substitution of different grains, the substitution of different hops, whatever you guys didn't have, it just worked really well for me. And the whole reason why I'm still so connected to MoreBeer and those is because without those and MoreBeer, there will not be El Cielo.
Yeah.
Man, that's
like
powerful.
Such a seamless connection too,
It's
from home brewing to Pro.
So, and that's why everybody asks me, one day I want to open my brewery. It's like, you gotta brew a shit ton of beer. You gotta be connected to home brewers. You gotta ask people to taste your beer. Doesn't matter if they tell like they hate your beer.
Similar to like what you guys built, the community, right? That's what sticks out for me is like the home brewing community and the craft beer community are very intertwined, at least here in the Bay Area and probably across the United States. And it's just that thriving community, and it's not just MoreBeer, right? It's any homebrew store, that homebrew store, that homebrew club, that craft beer community. They're all, I can only speak to the Bay Area here, but I bet you in Cleveland, in Michigan, in all these other places, there's a small community of people that just freaking love beer, right? And they're helping each other out. And that's one thing that attracted me to this community is the sharing. You don't see that anywhere else where it's like, hey dude, I'll give you my recipe. I mean, we were talking earlier about, you had asked me about how to make a certain beer style, and it was like, oh, I know these guys make a killer one, and I hit them up and they're like, yeah dude, give Luis my number. Like, we're sharing amongst ourselves, right? And it's beautiful.
Yeah. And I get emails at least like 2 or 3 times a month. It's like, hey, I tried your beer, I've been drinking your beer
like
for so long.
Yeah,
home brewer, like, is there any chance that I can get the recipe for the beer? Like, dude.
Yeah.
Here's the recipe. Make sure to bring me some bottles so I can taste them.
So we talk about it. Yeah. I love that. And I think you only really see that in the beer community.
Yeah, so, and it's like reaching out to like friends, like obviously a lot of the people that I know too. But
hops, man. Like hops.
Sharing the hops, sharing the yeast. It's like, hey, I forgot to order this bag or something. Do you have it? Can I go and pick it up? Or I forgot to order hops for this beer. Like, everybody's open to help you on ingredients. Or
you saved
like,
my ass many times. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, especially like I get a lot of questions about fruits. Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, so we getting this fruit. How much you using? It's like. So I'm like, I'm an open book. Like, somebody wants to brew Guava Dream, somebody wants to brew Mental Haze, I'll give you the recipe. Go and do it.
That's a perfect segue. Let's jump into Guava Dreams, this gold medal winning kettle sour. I think you probably make the best kettle sours in the Bay Area, in my personal opinion. Let's talk about this beer specifically, and let's give homebrewers some tips on how to make an amazing kettle sour. We all knew it was amazing. Everybody loves it in the Bay Area, but then you win a gold medal at GABF. Tell me how that experience felt. It was during COVID, right? So maybe we weren't there.
Yeah, actually it was during COVID.
Tell me how that went down.
So I remember that day, like, I think I was doing like a double batch or something. Obviously, like, we were during COVID, trying to keep up with our beer, canning pretty much everything. And then I started getting texts from you guys, like, you, Justin, Sager, Craig from Shadow Puppet, from Morgan Territory, like, congrats. I'm like, then I look at my friend, like, what are you talking about? He was like, dude, are you watching JBF? And I'm like, no, I'm brewing. So I was doing a double batch by myself that day, and then I literally just went into the computer, brought my computer to the brew deck and see what was going on. So then I saw like, oh, Guava Dreams got gold, and then I'm still brewing, and then Yerba Buena got silver the same day.
Same year, yeah.
So Yerba Buena got silver the same year.
Same category too?
No, so this is American fruit, and the other ones are herb and spice.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah,
Man.
which I love that Yerba Buena, man.
Yeah, that's a really good one. That's like that mojito vibe, like you were saying. Yeah, it's a great beer. So talk to me, start to finish, about kettle sours and cultures and all that kind of fun stuff.
Cool. Yeah, so funny story about this beer is that this was I never done a kettle sour homebrewing. And the first time that I did it, I got together with 2 or 3 people from those. Like, why don't we just brew a kettle sour? I'm like, yeah, let's do it, man. Like, and the cool thing is that we've been using the same lactoculture for almost like 4 years. Is that I think it provides more backbones to the beer, and it's keep going. Like, I just brewed Guava Dreams on Saturday, and we just boiled it today.
So talk, for the homebrewers watching, talk through that process, kind of the front end, day one of a kettle sour.
Okay, so what I love about kettle sours is that you can have like a half of day brewing, because normal mash, sparging, then transfer to the kettle, and then I'll bring the wort to 195. Basically, that's like safe place, safe temperature. Pasteurize the wort, and then we drop it to 113.
So you can run it through your heat X.
Run it through a heat exchanger. Once it goes, once we stop the whirlpool, it goes up to like 118, 120. That's kind of what I like to keep our kettle sours in between 118, 120. Then you start dropping the pH.
So you're gonna pre-acidify it.
Yeah.
With some lactic acid.
Lactic acid, and we normally use some acidulated malt during the mashing too.
So you're already kind of having a lower
little bit
pH,
lower too. We literally just, once you drop the temperature, what I do is I try to drop it to 4.4, 4.5, and then once we get that, then we introduce the culture, the lacto culture, into the wort. Obviously, like all that you're doing, like you have to have like separate keg coppers. You want to have like separate CO2 line for that. Even that we boil all the box, you want to make sure that nothing you get into the rest of your tanks, nothing you get into the rest of your equipment.
Lactobacillus, you don't want that getting everywhere. Yeah.
So then from there, once we add the lactoculture, it's normally 24 to 36 hours to reach the pH that we want. For Guava Dreams, we do 3.3.
3.3 is what you shoot for, okay.
3.3 is what we shoot for. And the way we do our kettle sour is like, you gotta think about it like, what kind of fruit are you adding? is it like a sweet fruit or is it like a stringer or tart fruit? So when we do Yerba Buena, because we add the mint, because we add the lime, we do 3-6.
Because
the
you know
mojito
it's
style.
gonna be.
That's the mojito style.
You're adding sour to it. You don't want sour on top
Yeah.
of sour. You want sweet,
And I think that's-
sour balance.
And I think that's why people love a lot of the kettle sours that we do, is because they're balanced. You know, like you're not getting that stomach pain after having like 2 or 3 sours. And I see like people drinking Guava drinks for like 2 or 3 pints. Yeah.
So, and I just for everybody out there, like when you're done with the kettle sour, you've hit the pH you want. You're gonna pull some of that wort and put it
Yeah.
back into a keg, right? And that's what you've shared with me. We share around. And I think what was interesting to me, you said, 24 to 48 hours, depending on when Luis or myself or Craig grabbed that wort, that sour wort, man, it turns it quick, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, if you did one last week and you passed it to me, I'm gonna get there quick. If it sat around for 2-3 weeks, it might take 48 hours to hit that, right? Is that what
Yeah,
you
so
see?
ideally, we don't let the culture sit more than a month,
Yeah.
which we normally don't do, but
Someone's brewing one.
someone is
Yeah.
brewing something just to keep it going. But the longer you let it sit on the kegs, the longer it's going to take you to
Hit that
to get
pH.
the pH. Yeah.
Okay, so we've kettle soured. We've it's hit our pH. Now what happens? We pull our lactic culture to pass off to our friends, right?
Yep.
And then it's just a standard brew day past that point.
Yeah, pretty much like we just so the way we design the brewery, we have a point that we can send everything back into the kettle, or we can send it through the chiller. So then normally you just get to here and check the pH. Okay, we're at 3.3. You get here and start turn on the burner, and then you go to a normal boil. Obviously, you gotta pull the culture before you boil it.
Yeah, or else we kill that culture. Yeah.
Once it goes above 128 or 130 Fahrenheit, it's dead.
Denatures that
Yeah.
or kills that. lactic.
And the only issue doing kettle sours is that you're gonna tie up your kettle for 24, 36 hours, and that's what we normally do it on. I normally do it on the weekends because it's ready for Monday. If we have the chance to do it on a weekday, we'll do it, but most of the time we can't afford to have the kettle sitting there for more than 24 hours.
So standard brew day past that, then you're into the fermenter, and that's where let's talk fruit, right? We're talking guava here. How many pounds per barrel or pounds per gallon are you talking? Are you adding it pre-fermentation or post-fermentation too?
So what I normally do is once we hit like around like 3 Plato, 3.5, then we add the guava. I'm not looking for the fruit to ferment too much because the bricks on the guava is lower compared to other fruits. So you gotta think about that. What are the bricks on the fruit that you're bringing? If it's high, you wanna let it ferment a little bit, so you don't get issues like the beer like starting to ferment during the canning or during the keg.
Do you do anything to cold crash the yeast out, kind of sulfate or anything like that?
So
to
we normally, I like our sours to be dry. I don't want like super sweet sours, or we don't use lacto on our sours. Everything that we do is backbone by the fruit. And in this case, like I picked guava because guava is huge in Colombia. And I grew up in Colombia getting on top of a tree, grabbing guavas and eating guavas at my grandma's farm. So for me, it's like just bring me back to when I was like 5 or 6 years old, and my mom was yelling at me, like, "Hey, get down from that tree! You're gonna break something." And just have like a bunch of guavas on my t-shirt. I'm just eating the guavas. So
awesome.
that brings me like a lot of joy too.
So to the ratio, is it about a pound per gallon. So like
So we do, I don't know what's the ratio, but we do a 22 barrel batch and we use 400 and...
so 31 gallons to a barrel, multiply that by 22 just for everybody out there.
Yeah, so we do 440 pounds. We get like 10 cases.
Okay,
10,
so a little
10
under a
cases,
pound per gallon.
10 cases
Yeah.
of per barrel, yeah.
Okay. Awesome, man. It tastes
which
great.
just provides the right mixture.
Yeah, it's
of
not
fruit.
overly sweet, but the
Yeah.
fruit's there.
I know it's like it's a little bit hazy, but because we use the same strength that we use for our hazy beers. So
Oh, you use the hazy strain,
Yeah,
which
so we
you used to
use
use
juice.
Vermont. Do you
we use juice.
Juice now. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So we use juice for our Kettle sours.
Kind of accentuate that ester. Yeah, let me
It
get
just
fruity.
it just helps holding the fruit flavors and everything that is floating, so it doesn't clear out. Whenever we want to do like, for example, we dip blue piragua and we want it to be like clear, then we use Cal Ale. Or we use a juice, but we biofine it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So there's multiple ways that you can go around sours, which is the same as doing our beers too.
Last question on this, because I think it's part of or helps with the style. Do you carbonate these a little bit more than you would, say, a hazy IPA?
Yeah. So we normally go a little bit higher on this. It's like a 4.5, 4.6, like 4.55, 4.6, just to have like that sparkling taste. You know?
Yeah, it really helps the
Yeah.
flavor for sure. All right, last question, not related to Guava Dreams, but a fruit that you turned me on to, talking about South American fruits.
If you can pronounce
I
it.
I can say soursop. I know how to say soursop, but guanamana?
Guanabana.
Guanamana.
So good.
So good, man. You turn like it's like banana and lime, right? Like
Yeah,
is
it's-
the flavors that I get from it.
It's unique. Like the first time that Cielomar went to Colombia, once we were together, like dude, like we went to a market, and she tried like 20 different fruits that she
That
never
I've
tried
never
before.
even
Yeah,
seen
so they
in
didn't
my
have.
life.
There's no soursop in Puerto Rico.
There is actually. There is,
Okay.
but there's so many other fruits in Colombia that I've never even seen in my life.
Interesting.
It's
Yeah,
so
that was
awesome.
man. That was you turned me on to that, and it was delicious.
Yeah, so we have a distributor that brings fruit from Colombia, and I would say like 90% of the fruits that we use is for them.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. You turned me on to those same people. Are you
Guanabana?
Yeah, and that distributor.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate. Yeah. Well, thank you guys for sharing your time, your space, your beer with me. It's been great. Cheers. We did it.